Hi, this is Joe Kolb from Espresso Outlet and TurinGrinders.com. One of the things that people frequently do when they get the Turin DF64 Gen 2 is they do an alignment check. It is important when you're doing the alignment check to do things in a certain way so that you get accurate results. One of the important things is always mark one of the ears so you know that when you're pulling it out, you're putting it back in the same way. If you do a wipe test and you put it in like this, it's not gonna be the same. So, and another thing is, if you do a wipe test, sometimes it's as easy as just flipping it around. So you don't have to put a ton of shims or anything like that. So that's one of the things to watch out for. Then you put your marker on, you mark it all the way around. When you put it back in, again, remember where that marker was. So if I pulled it out over here, I put it back in this same way. And when I do that, I make sure these rubber ends aren't pinched and these metal ears on the upper burr carrier are seated fully in there. So you got to look at those very carefully and make sure it's fully seated. You can kind of push down on it a little bit like that. And then when you put the collar on, and this is an important thing to do that most people don't do, is tighten it, tighten it, tighten it, tighten it. And it's going to take multiple spins. It is a collar adjusted grinder. And you're going to tighten it firmly past 0. Okay, so at this point, the burrs are locked together. And what that's going to do is it's going to force this upper burr carrier to sit down in those end seats and not be slightly raised on one end. If one of those rubber end seats is not fully seated, it's going to cause the carrier to be a little tilted, and that's going to mess up your wipe test. So that's an important thing. Once you have that, you can move it slightly past 0, and you can check and see where it is, where you start getting the rub test. Or, I mean, you can spin it with your fingers. You can spin it with a tool. You just have to be careful if you spin it with a tool not to scratch the wall. But you can also turn the grinder on, but I recommend if you turn the grinder on, move it over pretty far out and then slowly bring it back to find where the touch point is. But if you're doing the wipe test, you probably don't want to turn it on. You just wiggle this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You want to make sure you do it enough where it gives a very clear indication of where the lower point is on there. Where the lower point is, if it's evenly across one side and the other side is not touched at all, the easiest thing to do is just rotate the burr carrier, and most of the time that's going to fix most of the alignment gap. If that doesn't work, you can shim, but just be careful. If you have like 15 shims or 10 shims or something, you're probably not doing the marker test correctly. Make sure you're seating this very carefully and the rubber ends aren't pushing it up in some way, because that's going to skew your results. So that's something that anybody doing alignment, I would just be careful of. Make sure you fully seat that so that you're getting accurate results. Most of the time, and I've checked a lot of them, out of the box, the alignment is quite good, and the factory does a basic alignment on them, alignment check on them. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but between 100% perfect and what it comes with out of the box, I don't think most people in a blind taste test are going to be able to tell the difference.